Hi, I'm John,
I'm Oscar.
and today we're going to talk to you about evaluating large language models. Anyone that has any experience with machine learning knows that evaluation is a crucial part of that process. You want to make sure that your model is fit for purpose before you put it into any production system. So, Oscar, what's different about evaluating LLMs compared to traditional machine learning?
So evaluating a large language model is more complex than evaluating a traditional machine learning model like an image classification model because there are just many more components in it. So let's say for an LLM system, you have different hyperparameters you can tune, like the temperature and the context if you're doing in context learning, or the prompt template that you're trying to optimize. So it's not just one single metric like accuracy you're trying to optimize, which is something that's different when you are trying to evaluate and improve your LLM.
Okay, that's really interesting. So, what are the common ways of evaluating an LLM if they differ from the more traditional machine learning approaches?
Yeah, so when we talk about evaluating a large language model system, we would typically refer to either using a benchmark dataset or we will have some sort of numerical representation of the performance of the model itself. So when we talk about the benchmark dataset, what we mean is that in the dataset, we will have a bunch of questions which ask things in a bunch of different domains, and then we will assess the performance of the model based on how accurate they can answer the question and then the quality of their response. So we can also measure the performance of the large language model using different metrics like accuracy, which is a traditional metric that you will see across any machine learning model.
Okay, so that's interesting. So there's two different approaches that you would use to evaluating an LLM. There's the benchmarking data sets, but there's also the metrics. So do you have some examples of these metrics and how they might group together?
When we talk about metrics for evaluating a large language model, we usually refer to two different types of metric. The first type would be the context-free metric, which is metrics such as accuracy. And the other type would be context-dependent metric, such as the blue score. So what the blue score is trying to measure is the quality of the model's response. It's trying to compare the output of the model against our reference data set. And what we have in our reference data set is responses that are written by us, which we think is high quality. And then we will compute a score for the output of the model against that data set. So a score of 0 would mean that the response of the model is completely useless. It is nothing related to what we have in our reference data set. A score of 1 would mean that it's a perfect overlap. So that's really the case for machine learning model. So a score of around 0.6 would be is what we would consider a high quality response.
Okay, that's cool. So I think Blue as an evaluation metric has been around a little while in the natural language world. So with the evolution and the fast-paced nature of the LLM environment, are there any more involved and advanced methods to evaluating LLMs?
So a new method that we are seeing more people are starting to adopt is to use a larger model to evaluate a smaller model. So the larger model will act as an evaluator. So let's say we want the model to evaluate based on some metrics like the accuracy or how coherent the answer is from the smaller model. And we will pass the output from the smaller model to the larger model and to evaluate the output. So that's one of the newer ways to evaluate large language model.
Oh, that's really interesting and really cool. So yeah, we've talked a little bit about the differences between evaluating traditional machine learning methods and LLMs, what some of the common approaches are, and also more advanced techniques. Oscar's actually written a very comprehensive blog that guides you through some of the topics that we've talked about here today. So I'd encourage you to check that out and stay tuned for our next video. Thank you.
Thanks.
Yes.